Alright, hey everybody, it's Jesse with CAD Dimensions. Derek and I have an exciting webinar for you today. We've got a new product that we're pretty excited to show you. It's called the NPower Surfacing Software. So what we've got is a new add-in for SolidWorks. So this works right with your SolidWorks software. So it'll build itself right in, works right in the tree. And what it allows you to do is to create sub-D models. So surface models that are all Class A, they're all curvature continuous by just drag and drop. So manipulating of faces by vertexes, lines. So you can pull, stretch, control these, and get to a point where it looks the way you want it, and have that converted back to something that you can continue to use in SolidWorks, down through your tree. So the sub-D modeling will allow you to create that surface model as either a surface and then thicken it with the thickening feature in NPower, or you can just use your standard SolidWorks tools that you always have in the past. So we've got a few different models to show you. You can kind of watch us work through the software and get some idea of how it works, how easily it works, and hopefully by the end of the webinar you'll be excited as we are about this product, because it just opens up some huge possibilities that just weren't possible with SolidWorks before. So let's get going.
Hey guys, Derek here. Just going to take you through this really cool new feature that they got in here. It's going to be creating a power surface from an existing surface already created in SolidWorks. So what I'm doing here is that if any of you guys have actually sat through the surfacing class, you might remember this as the handle. I'm just going to go through, make a quick sketch here with the splines, and we're going to actually convert it over into power surfacing and do a little bit of editing right in there, just so you can get the basic shape a little bit better, and it's also a heck of a lot quicker to do it this way. And on the NPower website, there's a PDF that they have made that explains to you all the really good ways of transferring over from the SolidWorks surface to a power surface. So you guys can go on and look on that if you'd like. It's actually very simple to do. It's really quick. And if any of you guys have actually sat through the surfacing class, you'll get to see how easy it can be compared to actually making it in SolidWorks surfacing. So right now I'm just kind of editing the splines a little bit, getting it kind of where I want it, so it actually looks like the handle. And one thing I got to say is when we actually get into the power surfacing, you'll notice how easy it is to manipulate the geometry back and forth. You can, it's just drag and drop, pull. You got these control points you'll see. You just kind of click on them, drag them here and there. It's really simple to kind of get the way you want. It's really simple to kind of get in there and play around with it. So right here I'm just going to make an offset surface of 0, so we have a surface to convert over. So you see there's an actual power surfacing tab inside of SolidWorks, so the interface is still the same. You don't have to leave SolidWorks at all. So I chose the create from surface option. There's a few options you can do, just boxes, cylinders, toruses. There's a few different options you can play around with, kind of getting the way you want. Here we go. I just select this surface, and it actually makes it right there. You can see it. So I selected it, and because of the control points, you can see like the lines and the faces. There's not really a lot of them in there that I want, so I'll end up going in and hitting the subdivide, and it'll give me a few more that I want, just so it's a little bit easier to use. They say the more control points you have, the less flowy it is. It makes it break up, but in this case, just for demonstration purposes, I threw in a couple. So you see I'm going around and just control selecting all these points that I want, just like you would in SolidWorks with anything else. You know, click it, drag it out. You can see it kind of pops out, and then I'm changing the view that I have. This is the more what it will look like when it's finished, and that is just the hard representation of the geometry. So I'm going to go through and, you know, just kind of edit it a little bit more. I want this part to be a little bit out farther, so I just, you know, drag over all of them, and it selects everything that it's covering, just like you would in SolidWorks when you're trying to do something. And in like a sketch or anything, it's all the same. So we're just kind of going through, making sure it looks good. A couple places that I want to fix here real quick before we get over. And what's going to happen is when I'm done building this, we are going to go back into the surfacing tools, and we're going to replace the face on that boss extrude to the power surface that I just made. So we're just basically using the SolidWorks tools themselves in with this power surfacing to get what we want. And it's actually really easy to do, and it works well within SolidWorks. I'm just going to hide that so I can select on that face that I want. So you see it automatically selected that power body. And there you go. There's a replace face using that power body or power surface, whatever you want to call it. And I'm actually going to go in and fillet this edge just so you can see how it works inside of SolidWorks. You can still do cuts, you can do extrudes and everything through these power surfaces, the power bodies, and it'll still work. Everything's all within SolidWorks. Alright, so you guys see there's actually a fillet on there, and it looks good. I'm going to even mirror it. Just mirror the body so it gets a nice look to it. And throw on the preview so you guys can even show that it's got a preview there. So there you go. There is a power surface that was done using the create from surface feature inside of power surfacing. And I'm actually going to go back and edit it very quickly so you guys can see that it'll actually rebuild the rest of the fillets, the mirrors, and everything along with even the replace face in surfacing. So I'm just going to accept it here, and you guys will see when it's done accepting that it will the whole feature tree will rebuild afterwards, and you won't be left with any red X's or any rebuild issues or errors that might end up popping up. Just had the surface was showing there. See, it rebuilds even the fillet, the mirror, and everything. So it's completely editable inside of SolidWorks, and you can just keep playing with it. I mean, it's not exactly like the handle in SolidWorks. You know, I just kind of did it more wavy so you guys could see the general shape that it had kind of done. But that's a handle that was made in power surfacing versus making it in SolidWorks, and you guys can see it's a lot quicker and really good to get that general shape in there.
Alright, so Derek has showed you a little bit of some basic manipulation here, just with a regular surface that we use to replace. What I'm going to show you here is actually going to be some actual creating of shapes from scratch. So I'm using the create box option, and you can see that the box actually shows as a sphere. So that's a function of modeling in that sub-D environment. So that box, that is your outer box where your surface kind of interpolates between that. Up in the top right hand corner there, I've got just kind of a comparison. This remote is an example from the surfacing class. If you've sat through that, like Derek mentioned, I figured I'd use an example from there, just so it's a little bit familiar, and it's a good one because we can kind of compare to the sketches here. I've got my transparency turned on so I can see through to those sketches, and I can just kind of model over the top. So again, in the top right corner there, I'm just kind of working away, as you know, drawing this in SolidWorks like we would through the class. We're in the main graphics window. You can see me manipulating the sub-D surface as a whole to get a particular shape that we're trying to accomplish here. So as I move things around, you can see at this point I'm using just a selection of the vertices. So I'm grabbing those and I'm moving those loops around, and as Derek mentioned, as I'm selecting those, it's grabbing everything beneath it. So I'm basically keeping my symmetry here as I'm working along, and you can see as we're going, I'm making quite a bit of progress in comparison to where we are in the SolidWorks model. I'm kind of just getting this side profile set, and then in just a moment we'll flip over and take a look at our other profile. So as I'm stretching these along, I'm just kind of matching the underlying shape that's been created in these sketches by the industrial designer. Where in the top right I am doing the same, but I'm having to set up all these sketches with splines and really get things nailed down. Whereas in the N-Power, I'm just kind of pulling and dragging and manipulating them in a similar fashion to splines. So if you're comfortable with using splines, you shouldn't have too much trouble picking up this style of modeling with the sub-D style. You're just kind of doing everything all at once. So you can see here I'm just kind of flattening things out by using that scale command. So we've got translate in all directions, and we've also got scales in multiple directions. You've seen me using these little arrows, which I just use right now, as well as you can see that little fan, which will allow me to move in plane, essentially. So I can move things in both directions at once rather than specifically using arrows. So I'll use kind of a combination of those two tools as I'm working through the process. So I've got my shape kind of close to where I want in terms of a side view, but I didn't really set up my dimensions all that close for a top view. So I've got this flipped over, and now I'm going to use the scale command. So I'm just going to take all of those vertices and just scale those all in the direction that I'm looking for, the Z direction in this case. So I've scaled that in back, but now I need an extra loop. So I've added in an extra loop here, just using the A key as a shortcut, and I'm going to also use the scale command. So with that still selected, you can see I can scale that out and expand that. I had to add in an extra loop just because I needed a little bit of extra resolution there. So you're not stuck with what you set up initially. You can add those loops in for extra control points if you need to. And you can see at this point in my SolidWorks modeling, I've got nothing but a few splines set up and a couple more splines that I'm adding in right now for the guide curves for the loft. And at this point in my N-Power model, I'm already finished with most of the modeling. I'm just making a couple tweaks and I've got the whole thing done, where in SolidWorks I haven't even gotten one side done yet. So I'm at this point selecting, excuse me, it's behind the screen there, but I'm just selecting edges in this case and just scaling those in. All right, I'm just tucking in the bottom and the top a little bit to try to get that shape that I'm looking for. I don't have a sketch that goes through the cross section in the other direction, so at this point it may not be critical to me. I'm just kind of shaping that in. So switching view modes, I can see just the sub-D model itself. That way I can kind of get a cleaner look, and that looks about where I want it. So when we accept this, I can hide these sketches here, and we'll see what we've got for a final model. The great thing about using N-Power is, again, that Class A surfacing. It's all it's all curvature continuous, so you get a great looking model when you're done. And again, the beauty right here, we've got editability. Right, I can go back in and I can say, well, this looks a little bit sharp to me. Let me come back in here and fix this corner and just kind of massage this back into exactly what I'm looking for. You know, maybe in my sketches, I've matched it fairly close to my sketches, but I didn't really like how that turned out. So I can come back in here, I can tweak these vertices, or, you know, manipulate by faces and get that looking a little closer to the way that I want it. And I can say, okay, this is, you know, this is the way I want it. And, you know, at this point, you can see it actually creates a solid. So where Derek used that surface and then did a replace face, when you've got a fully enclosed surface, it creates that as a solid body, and then I can go in and split and shell and do anything that I want to it. So you can see the very last piece I've got is only that one side done in SolidWorks surfacing. And the surface probably actually needs some tweaks. It looked like it had a little bit of a hard edge in there, where in NPower I've quickly gotten to my end game pretty quickly, and then I can just tweak from there. So the speed in NPower is just amazing.
Hey guys, Derek here again. I'm just going to take you through a little bit more of an advanced model. We're starting off here with a cylinder. We're going to end up making like just kind of like a free-form mug, say it was clay. Right here we're going to do some adding in some segments, so I have a little bit more of control over the geometry than I would before. We're actually going to use a little bit more tools than we did the past couple times. So you see here I'm grabbing a few of them all at a time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that middle, and that actually scales in all three directions at one time. Jesse was doing it before, but this grabbing the middle, you get all three directions at once, which comes in handy. And you'll see me right here going to hard edge that bottom, which is actually really cool. What it does is it gives it a corner piece, or a real sharp corner for if you don't want it to be completely tangent. And right here what I'm going to do is do an extrude, but I'm actually going to do almost like a cut extrude. I'm going to take away everything in the middle so it actually is a mug. And you'll see me do a lot of right clicks. Right there I just did just a revolve on the extrude as well, so you can do kind of two things all in once. But you'll see me right click a lot, and that's just kind of the shortcut menu. And what I was doing right here is getting a different way to select. I can select only faces, only vertices, only lines. There's a combination of things that you can do. I usually have it set just to kind of do all of them at once. It's a lot easier, but if you're trying to do certain things, it helps to right click and grab in there. So I just did a quick exception there so you guys can kind of see how quick it was just to get that basic mug shape. So we're going to go back in and edit it, and I want to add in a handle. To do a handle in SolidWorks itself, you're looking at creating some profiles, a loft. It can get kind of time intensive. So what I'm going to do here is basically just two extrudes, and in the power surfacing there's a bridge command, and we'll end up bridging those two together. You'll see how interesting it looks. But right now you can kind of see that there's different triad selections of how you want to manipulate it. So I got to kind of revolve it down a little bit so it can face up with the other bridge that we're going to make. And I mean, you guys can see even with Jesse's and mine before how simple it is to just kind of play around with the software. You can kind of get into it, and it's almost like playing with Play-Doh. You just kind of grab it and move it, and it's really simple. So what I'm going to do here is right click, grab my face so it's easy, grab the two of them and just bridge. And look at how easy that was to just get together. I mean, within the past, was it 2-3 minutes, we have an entire mug, which would take you, I don't even know how much longer in SolidWorks itself. So this is really quick, and what I'm going to do now is just add in an appearance so you guys can see that you can also add appearances to this. Also, with having that hard edge, that whole bottom face you guys saw a little bit earlier, it was completely flat. And what you can actually do is you can go back into SolidWorks and create a sketch on that flat face there, and you can do like a cut or an extrude or whatever you want to do. You can do all that. So what I did there was just add on an appearance and did a real view just so you guys can see it. And other than that, it was just a quick model that we got going in, and it just shows you how quick it was, and we got to use it a little bit more, show you a little bit more of the extrude and like the bridge and a little bit more of the triad and how to kind of work with the software itself.
All right, well, I'd like to wrap this webinar up and leave you with one image here. This image was created with PhotoView 360 from scratch to full render in approximately 20 minutes. The mug is the one that you saw Derek just create a moment ago with a few extra tweaks. A total of 5 minutes in actual modeling. Toss it in assembly, a couple of textures, and away we go. So you can see just the pure power of speed with the NPower software is huge. It's a game changer for SolidWorks, and it just really takes that combination of powers where SolidWorks has got the NURBS now built-in sub-D modeling for SolidWorks is huge. The combination of those should be pretty much endless as to what you can really create, allowing you to combine the strengths of both of those systems in one, built right into SolidWorks. So hopefully we've wet your whistle a little bit and got you excited about the product. Again, we're pretty excited about it, and I hope you take the opportunity to give us a shout. One thing that's really cool with the NPower, it's downloadable demo. Pull it down, give it a try, play with it a little bit, let us know what you think. And if you're interested in taking a look at it, please let us know. We'd like to see what you're looking to do with it. So thanks for stopping in.